Okay, 8th graders, we're finally at the big event, the main thing. You guys are getting into algebra. That's correct. We get to solve equations. You guys get to actually start doing math. No longer just doing, nitty gritty stuff. You guys are in the real big leagues. You guys get to do algebra and math. You guys have equations. From here on out, it just gets fun. Put your name at the top. And let's do our vocabulary. Also, at this point, I have to recommend you use a pencil. Make certain you have your assignment. You're going to need scratch paper to do your work. But, yep, use a pencil. We will make mistakes. So, our vocabulary terms for this chapter. Multiplicative, inverse, and coefficient. Just look at those words. Don't those words just say that you're getting up into the big leagues, that you're now doing big person math? This is no longer the kiddie pool. Yep, that's right. You guys are getting into real math now. So, the multiplicative inverse. These are two numbers that multiplied together give an answer of 1. So, like 7 over 10 times 10 over 7. Everything cancels out, and it equals 1. So, anytime you have two things inverted times each other, you have a multiplicative inverse, and the answer is 1. Next up, coefficients. Coefficient is just the number by a variable. So if you have 3x, that is your coefficient. Yeah, I know, a little bit disinfit. Little bit big word for a small thing, but hey, you guys get to use a big word, so don't whine. Okay, multiplicative inverse. Define it. Two numbers multiplied to get, or I'll just put equal, to equal 1. Describe it. 136 times 36 over 1 equals 1. List some examples. 1/2 times 0.5 equals 1. Pi over the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 over pi equals 1. List some non-examples. 5 times 3 equals 15. And 7 times 2 equals 14. Describe how a multiplicative inverse is used in division of fractions. Well, when we divide by a fraction, we multiply by its inverse. Real world link. How can the action of the motorcyclist in the photo help you remember what a multiplicative inverse is? Um, uh, I don't know. The motorcyclist is upside down, and we flip a fraction upside down. Okay, I guess that'll work. The guy is upside down. Okay, next page. The numerical factor of a term that contains a variable is called the coefficient of the variable. Coefficient variable. Yep. In the equation 3/4 c equals 18, the coefficient c is a rational number. To solve an equation when the coefficient is a fraction, multiply each side by the multiplicative inverse of the fraction. Example 1. Solve 3/4 c equals 18. Well, we multiply this side by 4/3. These cancel out, these cancel out. We multiply this side by 4/3. Now we have c equals 18 times 4/3. Now, we can divide 18 by 3, because 18 is 3 times 6. So that 3 cancels out that 3. And then we have c equals 6 times 4. C equals 24. And we check it by taking 24 and putting it in here. So 3 divided by 4 times 24 equals 18. 24 is equal to 4 times 6. 4 is equal to 2 times 2. 6 is equal to 2 times 3. Over here, 4 is equal to 2 times 2. Cross out the common parts. And we are equal with left with 3 times 2 times 3, which is 3 times 2 times 3 equals 18. Now we simplify that. 3 times 2 is 6 times 3 equals 18. 6 times 3 is 18 equals 18. So it checks out. Number A. 1/5 x equals 12. We multiply this by 5 over 1. 5's cancel out, 1's cancel out. We're just left with 1. On that side, on this side, we are left with 5 over 1, which is the same thing as 12 times 5. X equals 12 times 5 over 1. Remember, 12 has under 1 underneath it. We just don't write it all the time. And so 12 times 5 is 60. X equals 60. B. Negative. I need to give myself a little bit more room. Negative 2/9 D equals 4. If we multiply by its multiplicative inverse, we multiply by 9 over 2. Cancels, cancels. Over here, we multiply by 9 over 2. And 4 cancels with 2 because 4 is 2 times 2, and we cancel out that 2, and so we're just left with that 2. So we have D equals 2 times 9. D, or that's a negative D. Don't forget that equal sign. D, negative D is equal to 18. D, since we now have to we multiply this side by -1, multiply this side by -1. So negative signs cancel out. 18 times -1 is -18. D equals -18. C, 15 equals 5 divided by 3n. Multiply both sides by 3 over 5. 3 over 5. 3's cancel, 5's cancel. 3 is equal to 3 times 5. 5's cancel. So we are left with 3 times 3 equals n. 3 times 3 equals 9 equals n. -24 equals -6/7p. We multiply this side by 7 over 6. Multiply this side by 7 over 6. 7's cancel, 6 cancel. We are left with that negative sign. Over here, 6 is equal to 2 times 3. 24 is equal to 2 times 12, and 12 is equal to 2 times 6, and 6 is equal to 2 times 3. So we can cancel out the 2 and the 3, and we are left with 2 times 2. And that negative sign. So we are left with negative 2 times 2 equals negative p. Then 2 times 2 is 4. -4 equals negative p. Multiply both sides by a -1. Negative signs cancel, and we're left with 4 equals p. X equals 60. D equals -18. D equals 9, N, and D is P equals 4. Next page. Number 2. Solve 1 divided by 1 and 1/2 s equals 16 and 1/2. So we are multiplying to get rid of the, we're putting everything into fractional form. So we're taking our 1 and moving it inside the fraction, so we have to multiply it by 2. So we're starting with 1 and 1/2 equals 16 and 1/2. And there's an s here. Then we're moving this 1 inside, so we end up with 2. We end up with 2 over 2 plus, because that's a 1, 2 over 2 equals 1, plus 1/2 s equals 32 over 2 plus 1/2. So since these are the same denominator, we can add them together and rewrite it as 2 plus 1 over 2 s equals 32 plus 1 over 2, and then 3 over 2s, since 2 plus 1 is 3, equals 33 over 2. Now we get rid of this guy by multiplying by 2 over 3. Everything cancels. And over here we multiply it by 2 over 3. And 2's cancel. And 33 is equal to 3 times 11. 3's cancel as well. S equals 11. Let's try E. 4 and 1/6 equals 3 and 1/3 C. Okay, but moving that into the fraction. 4 times 6. So we have 4 times 6 over 6 plus 1/6 equals 3 times 3 over 3 plus 1 over 3. Because remember, and if we want to move 4 into, if we want to put 4 over 6, then we have to multiply the 4 by 6. So 4 times 6 is 24 over, told you would make mistakes. 24 plus 1. Oh wait, I shouldn't do the plus 1 yet. Trying to keep my chunks as small as possible. 24 over 6 plus 1 over 6 equals 9 over 6. Oh, there's a little c over here. Forgot about that. 25 equals 10 over 3 c. Multiply both sides by 3 over 10. 3's cancel, 10's cancel. 3 over 10. 3, this 6 breaks down into 2 times 3. 3's cancel, left with a 2. 10 and 25. 10 is 2 times 5. 25 is 5 times 5. 5's cancel. We are left with the 2 and the 5. So we are left with 5 over 2 times 2 equals c. Which is 5 over 4 equals c. Or another way to write that is 1 and 1/4 equals c. F negative 9 and 5/8. I'll make this a little bit clearer. Negative 9 and 5/8 W equals 108. So first we need to move everything inside. So we have, if we want to put it 9, we do 9 times 8 negative over 8 plus 5 over 8 W equals 108. 9 times 8 is 72 over 8 plus 5 over 8 W equals 108. 72 plus 5 is 77 over 8 negative W equals 108. Now let's do some multiplicative inverses. So 8 divided by 77. 8 cancels, 77 cancels. 8 divided by 77. And 77 and 108. Let's see what cancels out of that. 108 is 2 times 54. 54 is 2 times 26. I need to rewrite this with a little bit more room to work. So W equals 108 times 8 over 77. 77 equals 7 times 11. 108 equals 2 times 56. No, 54. Which is equal to 2 times 27. And don't think 27 has it. And that is equal to 3 times 9. I do not see any way to simplify that. Okay then. Well, in that case, W equals 108 times 8. 108 over 1, so we can put a 108 over 1, and 8 times 77, 108 times 8. Is 864 over 77 times 1 is 77 equals W. Now 864 how many times does 77 go into 864? Well, it goes into that one once. What's 86 minus 77 is 9. Bring down the 4. 77 goes in, that's 1. And how many are left over? 77 minus, or 94 minus 77 is 17. So we can take this R and leave it in the fraction. So we can end up with W equals 11. We take that R and we put it over the 77. 11 over 77. Woo-wee. Woo-wee. We are in the real math now. Seventeen 77s. Huh. See, that's how you know you're getting into the real stuff. You have a whole page of work done for one problem. Gee. 1 and 7/8 y equals 4 and 1/2. 8. So 1 can be put into 8 denominator 8 fraction by multiplying it by 8. So we have 8 over 8 plus 7 over 8 y equals 4, which can be put into a fraction with a 1/2 by moving it into the fraction, which is 4 times 2 plus 1/2. 8 plus 7 is 15. Okay, think I got that part all right. You guys can tell that this is real math because I'm paying attention to my organization. Okay, so now we need to get this y on its own. So we do our multiplication. 8 over 15. 8 over 15. Cross out. 2 and 8 cross out because 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So we cross out the common parts. And 9 is 3 times 3. And 15 is 3 times 5. Cross out the common parts. And we are left with y equals 3. And all we're left with over there is a 3 and over 1 times 2 times 2 over 5. Multiply straight across. 3 times 2 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 5 is 5 equals y. 5 goes into 12 twice with 2 left over. Y equals 2.25, or 2 2/5. Next up, solve equations with decimal coefficients. Example 3. 3.15 equals 0.45 n. So, to get rid of that 0.45, we divide both sides by 0.45, 0.45, and we have 3.15 divided by 0.45 equals n. And then just plug that into your calculator because, yeah, I can't do that one in my head either. So 7 equals n. Then take this 7, you plug it back in up here, and we have 3.15 equals 0.45 times n, which we've now replaced with 3.15 equals 0.45, and we're substituting 7 for n. Do the math, and this should equal 3.15 equals 3.15. Hey, it does. It checks out. We're good. H. 4.9 equals 0.7 t. So all we do is we divide both sides by 0.7. 0.7, 0.7, 0.7's cross out. Now we have 4.9 divided by 0.7 equals t. All you have to do is put 4.9 divided by 0.7 into your calculator, and you will get your answer. I think it'll come out to be 7 because 4.9 is 0.7 squared, or is 0.7 times 7. Next one, H, I, negative 1.4 m equals 2.1. Divide both sides by 1.4. Negative m equals 2. Oh, wait, those cancel out. 2.1 divided by 1.4. Plug that into your calculator, and I think you will get 1.5. Now we multiply both sides by negative 1. And our negative signs cross out, and it becomes m equals negative 1.5. And last one, J. Negative 5.6k equals negative 12.88. Take this 12 point, or take the 5.6, divide it off of both sides. 5.6, 5.6, and we have negative k equals negative 12.88 divided by 5.6. Now we plug that into our calculator, and we should get an answer of negative 2.3, I do believe, equals negative k. Now we can multiply both sides by a negative 1. Negative signs all cancel out, and we have k equals 2.3. And moving on. Last example. You guys are in the home stretch now. Almost done with your math for the week. Example number 4. Leota's softball team won 75%, or 18 of its games. Define a variable. Then write and solve an equation to determine the number of games the team played. So, games played. So we'll have games played equals P. So P equals the games won equals W. So P equals the games won they won 75%. So 75% of the games they played, they won. Now we know that they won that games won equals 18. Substitute W for 18. And we know that 75% equals, we have to move the decimal over twice, 0.75. P equals 18. Now we just divide both sides by 0.75. 0.75. 0.75 is canceled out on that side. P equals 18 divided by 0.75. And then you can put that into your calculator, or you can just multiply 18 by 4 and divide it by 3. I don't care. It is a little bit easier if you do it as a fraction because, yeah, it's a little bit easier that way. But either way, let's see. If you just put it into your calculator like this, you will get 24. Or you can do 18. And then you just realize that 0.75 is the same thing as 3/4. So we since we're dividing 18 by 3/4, that is the same as multiplying 18 by its reciprocal. So we multiply 18 times 4/3. And we can cross out, since 18 is 3 times 6, we can cross out that 3 and just be left with a 6. And so we have 6 times 4, which equals 24. Which becomes 24. So P equals 24. You can do it whichever way you want. I don't care. Now, let's get into some equations. 60 equals 3/4 P. Now we're going to, of course, multiply both sides by 4/3. 4's cancel out, 3's cancel out. 4/3. That gives us 4 times 60 divided by 3. The 3 cancels out. The 60 cancels out because 60 is 3 times 20. So 3's cancel out. We're just left with the 20. And that equals P. 4 times 20 equals P. Because that 3 canceled out, so we don't have it anymore. And 4 times 20 equals 80. negative 27x divided by 25 equals negative 9/5. They do like throwing these curveballs at you guys. Well, multiply it by the inverse. These cancel out. And 5 cancels because we have 5 times 5. So that cancels. 9 cancels because we have 3 times 9. So we take what we're left with, which is the 3 and the 5. X equals 5 over 3. Which we can simplify down into 1x equals 1 and 2/3. Either one works. Oh shoot, I'm dropping some negative signs, aren't I? So this negative sign and this negative sign, then we multiply by -1, multiply by -1, and that they cancel out, and we are left with a positive x and a positive 1.23. So x equals 5 over 3, or x equals 1 and 2/3. Number 3. Negative 2.7t equals 8/10. We divide both sides by 2.7. And we have t equals 8/10 divided by 2.7. And it's negative t. 8/10 divided by 2.7. I cannot do that in my head, so I will use my handy-dandy calculator. And it equals 300. So negative t equals 300. Multiply both sides by -1. And negative signs cancel out. And we are left with t equals 300. T equals 300. Paula has read 70% of the total pages in a book she is reading for English class. Paula has read 84 pages. So, book equals 70%, and the book equals, book times 70% equals the number of pages Paula has read. And Paula has read 84. So B equals book, P equals Paula read pages. Now we move that over, so we have 0.70. B equals P, and we substitute in P at 84. 0.70 B equals 84. And then we divide both sides by 0.70. They cancel. 0.70 into the handy dandy calculator. $120. So there are 120 pages in the book. Building on the essential question, how is it that multiplicative of its Ensdorf is used to solve an equation that has a rational coefficient? We use it to separate the coefficient from the variable. Okay. And with that, I want you guys to do only every third problem. On this independent practice. Welcome to real math, kids. Don't worry, eventually you fill up entire pages of book paper. So once you guys are done with all that, please turn in your worksheets and all of your pages of work. I want to see all the work you guys have done for these assignments, okay? I want to see everything. You're going to turn all this in. Turn all of that in. I will give you credit for all of it. Have fun. Good luck.